One of the weaker LPL teams in this, so this might be a good chance for one of our LSPL teams to steal a win.
Yeah, to advance to the semifinals and get one step closer to potentially being promoted into the LPL. You're right, it's actually the lowest place LPL team for the season, EP, versus the top place seed for the LSPL left in the tournament, of course. Top two seeds gone through to the LPL already. Congratulations to those two teams, QG and Vici Potential. But yeah, this is the best looking team that was left, I guess, that didn't make it. They actually lost to the eventual winners, the two teams that are already in the LPL.
Yeah, they certainly did, and they lost a couple of cheesy matches as well. We saw a AD carry come through for their AD player RQ, so that was a little bit of an interesting pickup. But these guys, they play standard when they want to, ADG, but they also do have some cheese up their sleeve.
Yeah, for a while it was nothing but Riven Katarina from their top and mid laners, so which are both Korean as well. So some flair going on, but they've kind of refined their picks a little bit, have a bit more versatility, and that's opened them up in the map to play some other more standard things as well.
Yeah, it certainly has, and I actually think it helps them in the tournament because you have to be able to play against both. Do they go cheesy one composition when it really opens up? If you don't pick enough CC, Katarina will come out from Bamey and will go through the energy pacemaker lineup. Of course, Amazing J top, that was Drizzle. They're both playing pretty well.
Yeah, Raphael's been okay, I think. Certainly finding his way back in after some very strong games from him in the middle of the season in particular. Zhang out there as well. New AD carry, actually been quite impressive since he joined the team.
Yeah, he certainly has. He gives them something else, a mid-game presence. EP very good in the early game, then fell away very heavy in the mid. So I think Zhang Ao really adds that to the team.
Yeah, and Shu there rounding out the support role. Very versatile player. Everyone loves Thresh Annie, of course, in China, but he's also capable of playing the Janna as well. Been a very strong player, especially on the Thresh.
Yeah, and this is the thing that kind of separates the Chinese supports. A lot of them play Thresh, Annie, Leona when they want to, but there's only a couple that can really play the Janna. Shu's shown that he's okay at it, tries his hand at it every now and again, and disengage, very important in the Chinese meta because it's all about protecting that AD carry.
Yeah, and there are even fewer Nami players there as well, so lots of engage here. Really bloodthirsty in China, and you mentioned the strong early game and decent mid game from EP. Closing out games has certainly been their biggest thing, and ADG, of course, an LSPL team, certainly the best LSPL team left here in the tournament, but we have some potentially long games here. Both teams, they want to close and close fast.
Yeah, they certainly do. ADG, when they look on point, are a snowbally team. They get mid and top ahead very, very well. Ray up there especially can play some real heavy carry top laners. None of these teleport smart ones. He pulls out the ribbon and goes nuts. We've already seen Carry do that once. So I think that they've probably got a better matchup here than they could have drawn in the LPL. An early game team versus an early game team going head to head. That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and ADG full of promising players. Some of them at one point have been considered moving to that main roster of ADG, of course, being their B side. But we'll start on the top side. There's Rise, Hecarim, Java, and the man does it all.
Yeah, he certainly does. The Rise is what you need to look for as well since the patch changeover. And Xixiao Yin coming through. He plays a lot of the standard junglers, but once again, it's all about snowballing the top and mid lane.
Yeah, and Lee Sin falling off a bit does hurt some of these high-pressure junglers. Both Drizzle and Xixiao Yin do like the jungler a lot. I wonder if it'll just see play based on snowball potential. It'll be quite interesting. But Bamey there in the mid lane, ADG's other Korean player here. And just look at that champion pool. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and look at the KDA he takes with that champion pool. It's one thing to be able to pull out the pocket picks, but to make them work to a 6 KDA is absolute beast. This guy goes nuts when he wants to.
Yeah, great stuff. And actually a change here coming through. RQ not going to be playing its Chinchao today as their new substitute AD carry player.
Yeah, so we'll have to see exactly what he brings out there coming in from the sub position. Expecting it to be a little bit more standard in the bottom lane along with Shine now that is what has been brought through.
Yeah, and Shine there as well. Our last player, the support, of course. Pretty standard stuff. Thresh, Annie, Leona with a smattering of Janna. That's Chinese supports through and through.
Yeah, exactly right. Annie, Leona, the two big ones to watch. You can't really call yourself a support player unless you pull the Thresh out at least half of your game. So he has that also in his sleeve, but he really is all about that engage.
Yeah, and again, ADG can play the standard stuff, but do like to mix it up every now and then. Exciting to see how the best-looking LSPL team left in the promo tournament is going to do here. We had M3 advance yesterday, of course, our LPL team, with a resounding 3-0 against KX Happy in their quarterfinal. I believe the winner of this match actually goes on to face them as well.
Yeah, certainly do. So one thing to note between Raphael and Bamey, they're both Victor players. 5.6 Victor is actually disabled, so it won't be available available in the Champ Select, I believe, which may change how they want to play this.
Yeah, mid lane has been opened up a reasonable amount, though. Be interesting to see what the teams do want to go for. Perhaps the farm-heavy style might bring Bamey's Katarina back into the fold. It'll be interesting to see just what ADG want to do. But one thing's for certain, both these teams in various games across their careers, they like to throw out curveballs.
Yeah, they certainly do. And Luden's Echo, if we touch on Katarina, has really opened her back up into the meta. If you throw that Q at the range minions, you can nearly chunk them out once you get to around the level 9 marks. But if we go through the most picks, you can see Amazing J, he really likes that Hecarim.
Yeah, Hecarim now, his big ones in there as well, popping down to Raphael. You can see plenty of stuff we've been seeing quite a bit of, and maybe it's the jungle that suffers a lot. Lee Sin Jarvan was so popular in the first half of the LPL season, and unfortunately since then's really dropped away.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't. He tried his hand at the Rengar, didn't look too proficient at it actually, did Drizzle. So there was a very clear strategy against against EP the whole way through, and that was ban those two.
You can see now moving over to ADG's picks, the one Riven game there for Ray in the recent history. Katarina, 3 games actually with a pretty decent win percentage.
Yeah, it certainly does. 67, only dropping one of those games. Katarina, very hard to deal with in unorganized team fights, and that's kind of what LPL and LSPL thrive at. It's kind of like organized chaos running around in the mid game.
Yeah, it really is, and again, could get very bloodthirsty. Drizzle and Raphael, when they came onto the lineup in the regular LPL season, did start really mixing things up with creative level 1 or jungle strategies. The meta's kind of been turned on its head a couple times, you have to think, in 5.6. So this first game especially, it's a best of 5, a long series for these two teams to have to battle through, and we could see some crazy stuff.
Yeah, we certainly could, and I expect it, whoever drops game 1 to pull out something pretty unique in game 2. We've seen it in the history of League of Legends as we actually jump straight into Champions.
Yeah,
Select.
we're already here. EP going to start on the blue side. ADG over on the red, and EP, respect shown to Ray, instantly ban away the Riven. Lulu banned there as well by ADG, and Rek'Sai the second from Energy Pacemaker.
Yeah, so taking that one away from Xi Yin, of course, able to snowball lanes, probably better than any jungle at this point, Rek'Sai. The knockup is just way too hard to get away from. Couple it with the fact that the Flash Burrow was instant knockup. It's just so good.
Yeah, we've seen Rek'Sai be popular throughout the entirety of the LPL. I believe the most picked and banned champion in the entire season here in Spring, but Maokai banned from ADG as well. Wouldn't be that surprised to see Annie either banned away or prioritized quite heavily here as a LeBlanc ban actually away from Raphael, but towards Bamey.
Yeah, so getting that one off the board, I think it has to be Hecarim. Giving Amazing J Hecarim at this point, especially with the Riven who can kind of match aggression off the board, it's just going to be very bad news, and I think that Energy Pacemaker put a fairly high emphasis on that.
Yeah, and we saw Kalista actually the last ban there for ADG, so away from Zhang Yao. That opens up lots of different top laners for Amazing J. Currently hovering onto the Gnar, but could take away the Hecarim if he wants it. And we saw yesterday in our promotion match, Looper's Hecarim was unbelievably good.
Yeah, it certainly was. Hecarim kind of does something that no one else can do, and that is solo out nearly every AD carry in the game once he gets that challenging smite. You see the summoner spell swapped over straight away, and that is a very important pickup, you feel, for the course of this series. If it does well, it's going to be banned.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Amazing J's Hecarim, he was the one that really brought it back, that put Teleport Ignite originally into the top side of the map, but everyone's adapting to Smite Teleport as ADG. Gnar Sejuani, very standard and a great teamfight combination for their first 2 picks.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is what we've been seeing a lot with the popularity of Sejuani coming back in. Gnar really has made a resurgence onto the scene just because it's so much easier to layer that CC, and if we go back to the Hecarim, it was actually Insect that made the teleport smite popular. He just did it in a different position.
That's true. He was actually in the jungle that time around as EP. Considering their next few picks here, Raphael certainly had a bit of a rough end to his LPL season. EP in general, of course, struggling towards the latter stages, but Azir will get locked in and it's paired with Nunu.
I love this combo. It just gives Nunu so much flexibility. Being able to throw the Blood Boil onto Azir is so important late game. Especially if you get some cooldown reduction and some extra points into it. You can get it on a couple of carries at once, so if you get something scaling like the Jinx that Xin Zhao's about to take away, it really is a good news story for your team. So like what Drizzle and Raphael are bringing, the top half of the map, very good skirmishes in the mid game. Yeah,
I'm interested to see what ADG want to take away. They're looking at Jinx right now. Annie, of course, was expected to be a bit more of a contested pick, but only just showed up then for Bamey as a hover. considering to go a bit more late game, maybe want to disengage support, and they do have Janna available, and that's what they'll take. Janna Jinx is their 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, so a very strong lane, but they need to make sure that they don't get Urgot Leona or Urgot Annie through here from Shu and Zhang Ao. Don't know if Zhang Ao plays it. Don't believe we've seen it yet, but Urgot, just such a lane bully. You throw in Engage, he does a lot of damage.
He might have had one Urgot game, I think, but it depends how EP want to play it. They've already got the Nunu. Feel like they might be setting themselves up for a bit more of a late game carry. Possibly even wanted to take the Jinx, and it got stolen away by ADG. So this would be more in line with, I think, the team comp they have. We actually had, I believe, Vault Elite's last game yesterday in their best of 5 against ADG. This is almost the exact same comp they ran.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the Konami lane is just so strong. Sustains incredibly well. And the Tidecaller's Blessing does work throughout the entirety of this lane, because Kog'Maw generally wants to trade with 1, 2, or 3 auto attacks and then get out of the skirmish. You can keep him topped off, goes through the Janna shield relatively well. So I like what they've brought to the bottom lane here. I think that Energy Pacemaker, even though going second, have got the better standard lane.
Yeah, great draft here from EP. Be interested to see if they can get the scaling happening. That's probably the only big thing, is that apart from Nunu, lots of farm required for these 3 lanes. So Hecarim is here and Kog'Maw all need to secure the early farm, and Bamey going to keep it real safe here. Xerath is the last pick from ADG.
So the Shurima mid lane coming out. We saw a lot of Xerath with the popularity of Azir coming through. It still is a very heavy counter pick. And the one thing you will say is that Xerath Jinx are probably two of the best high-range carries in the game. If Xerath's able to get any poke through, Jinx is unrivaled in the fact that as soon as 1 kill goes through, she is the best hyper carry. If you can get no kills through in a fight, she is not able to get excited, can't really use that mobility. But the difference between her and Kog is they both shred tanks the same way, but Jinx, she's just so highly mobile.
And I like that you mentioned the range thing, because of course, what's the issue with your mid lane? If they can't get in and burst down the team, you can't get resets, but long range Xerath always going to get in there.
Yeah, exactly right. Able to poke out, but we'll go through the lineup. That was Hecarim versus Nah. In the jungle, we have Nunu versus Sejuani, and expect to see this one a hell of a lot.
Yeah, we'll see if Nunu can pressure out the Sej early as Azir versus Xerath, the throwback to the original first few weeks of the LPL. Starting to see this a lot more with Azir rising back in 5.6 as we pop to the bottom side. It's again Hypercarry Central, Kog'Maw versus Jinx.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is why I'm a little bit worried for ADG, because Hecarim going to be able to deal with Xerath Jinx a lot better. But that is exactly where Shine comes in on the Janna versus the Nami. Heavy disengage out of the supports.
Yeah, I like the comp from ADG. It's kind of like a great, well, one of the best front lines, one of the best back lines, and I guess Janna's job is to kind of flip between the two and tie the room together.
Yeah, exactly right. That's all she's doing. She's going to stand in the middle, hopefully push everyone back onto the Hecarim and let him do as much work as, get him out of there as well as Nara, and let them do as much work as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff. Strong drafting from both sides. Very standard, actually, as we move into our first game between these two.
Yeah, it certainly is, and kind of disappointingly so. That's a very heavy CC. Nearly League of Tanks without a tanky support and mid laner coming through from ADG. I like the poke element, though.
Well, things might change as we move through, but we're about to get into game one. And welcome onto the Rift for our first game of the day here for the LPL Summer Promotion Tournament. EP from the LPL versus the LSPL's ADG, also known as Edward Gaming's B team.
Yeah, so we're onto the Rift, and very standard start through from everyone. See if we do get the lane swap. Nami is on the top lane, but Kog, Jinx, and Janna all down the bottom. And you expect Amazing J, he wants to take a camp. Nah can do the same at the Wolves.
Yeah, we'll see what they want to do. We've seen quite a lot of lane swapping with the Smite top laners in general, just because you can jungle reasonably well. But I think everyone would be fairly happy with their standard lanes. I mean, just looking through them, apart from mid lane, which is only slightly ahead for ADG, it's pretty stable across the board.
Yeah, it certainly is. So we'll have to see how the lanes work out. Probably both wanted to go for the 2v2 because they're relying on their junglers to scale up as well. And the longer that Nunu can, I guess, pressure out this Sejuani, the longer it won't really be relevant in the game.
Yeah, Drizzle actually starting the Gromp by himself, but should be fine on the Nunu. Amazing J will take away the Wolves here, so should be able to clear that camp for himself with the help of Smite. Shine actually starting a freeze on the bottom side of the map, but EP's bottom lane's already there doing the croaks.
Yeah, they think a lane swap is going to come through, and the freeze is actually going to help hurt ADG here, because a lot of the minions are going to die from... Energy Pacemaker's minions are going to kill ADG's minions, and not many of them are actually going to die. You see, coming into lane, only 2 went down, and that's more experience picked up for Energy Pacemaker.
Yeah, just not able to push the wave in early, deny it off shortly, and we will actually break out into standard lanes. And again, I guess the biggest thing for me with ADG is they're usually a team that snowballs in the laning phase, and they've sort of picked to match and scale with EP.
Yeah, they certainly have. And Energy Pacemaker, again, we said that they're a very good early game team, but struggle late game. They've picked a very late game focused team comp as well, so maybe hoping to use champions to better close out games.
We'll have to see, because again, both teams having to adapt to 5.6. We've seen a lot more of this sort of team makeup from lots of different teams, actually, as we continue some trades in the bottom. But both Jinx and Kog'Maw, especially with the Nami there, they can get some pretty good harass off.
Yeah, but Shu not able to get the second bounce, doesn't get the heal onto Kog, so we'll have to see if that works out in the lane in the end, because just a little bit of a misstep. Already Nunu showing himself bottom.
Yeah, Drizzle getting spotted by a nice ward and trying to get the double bar pressure in. Good little show there on the bottom side, but ADG dodged it completely.
Yeah, they're certainly able to get away from there. Was maybe trying to zone away from the cannon creep, but in the end doesn't work out. And Jin Jiao so far having a great time in this lane. Wow, Raphael getting chunked.
Yeah, and this is sort of what we expect from the lane. Bamey actually very low on mana, so going to use that passive to get some of it back here. Maybe even aggressively use that biscuit. But if Xerath can keep Azir at range, and should be able to with all of the range that Xerath has, going to have a fun time here in the mid lane.
Yeah, certainly is. You can already see the understanding from Bamey. He pinged out exactly where the Nunu was there without any vision, and just backed away from the lane. Made sure Azir was back at his turret before he showed again aggressively. You can just see that these guys much better laners than what we were maybe seeing yesterday out of KX Happy.
Yeah, and ADG aggressively pushing almost all the lanes they can afford to. Ray even moving Amazing J in towards the top, and that's fine here for Sejuani. She'll happily farm to 6 with all her lanes aggressively pushing.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happens. Drizzle now feels pressure to gank lanes instead of counter jungling, because if he does try and counter jungle, it's all going to be about Bamey and Ray collapsing first to help out the Sejuani. So it's just going to, I guess, relieve a lot of that early pressure.
Yeah, Drizzle here again in the bottom side. Chomp has used very nicely. Tornado as well, just to zone them away, and more pressure from Drizzle amounts to just a few auto attacks on Jinx.
Yeah, so able to get some spells out, burn through some of Janna's mana, which of course hurts the trading potential that can come out of ADG, but in the end, just another reminding gank that if you're going to push out, I can, as a Nunu, kind of come in and help the lane.
Yeah, Ray now is all about to transform into Mega Gnar. Will AoE the creeps down now in melee form, and Amazing J going to get zoned a little bit, but keeping up nicely on CS.
Yeah, so he's able to keep up on CS, doesn't really want to fight at this point because of the aggressive item choice coming through from Ray in that Duran's Blade. Just wants to continue to farm through, pick up the Barmy Cinder, the early challenging skirmishing saver, and then he will try and win the lane. It really is just all about the early farming coming through from Hecarim at the moment.
Yeah, and again, continuing to pressure. Ray doing a nice job here in the early stages, but very quiet here so far. In fact, we look through the other lanes. No major CS leads anywhere except, in fact, mid lane. Raphael getting poked out a bit, but able to keep nicely ahead on CS for now.
Yeah, so Raphael actually doing a great job on CS. You have to think some of that was because of Bamey's early mana problems, that he wasn't able to prioritize, I guess, CS over the harassment he was trying to get down. That's always the danger with Xerath. If you just don't push the wave and if you go for that harassment, you do miss a lot of inconsequential CS, and has hurt him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you get to harass and farm with your long range through the wave, but Raphael probably positioning quite nicely, able to dodge some of that out, and Nami Kog in the last hit nicely under turret. Will ease out here, and soon these AD carries approaching that 50 CS mark. We're going to have some big items back soon. We're going to probably look for the first recalls.
Yeah, we certainly are at this point, especially with Nunu's Edge. They both actually fly through Dragon at this point in the game. Nunu, of course, unrivaled in how healthy he stays. So I'm surprised with how much time Drizzle's put on the bottom side of the map. He hasn't got that one pink warded out yet, but a nice trade in the bottom.
Good pressure coming through. Jinx with the rockets just poking in. Zhangao forced away from the lane and going to have to get healed up here. That's going to waste a lot of Nami's mana, and if the jungler comes, especially in Sejuani's, even now here in the bottom lane, Zhangao could be first blooded.
Yeah, certainly looks to be that way, and wow, Jin Jiao with a very good trade coming through there, and a lot of it, ooh.
Yeah, has to be careful. Raphael flashing in, but Bamey flashes after him. Raphael tried to line up the ulti, but didn't pull the trigger.
Didn't have the mana pastry time. A little bit early aggression and miscalculated the mana pool required to pull it off. Used the E to get past him, then realized, hang on a second, I ran out.
Yep, doesn't have any more mana for the Emperor's Divide. Doesn't cost very much. I think 100 only probably for the first rank, but Bamey will be happy, uses his flash, but Raphael just kind of sits there and looks a bit silly.
Yeah, but he got the heal and the flash out of Bamey in the mid lane. So in the end, Maybe it was just an elaborate mind game coming through.
Maybe. Is Bamey going to continue pressuring out? Great stun, actually going to get a bit of harass down, clearing out the rest of the wave, but everyone probably going to look for some early shops here. And Bamey, despite being slightly behind in CS, is actually going back. Fiendish Codex to Chalice of Harmony currently.
Yeah, so Chalice, the pickup here coming through from Raphael. Just such a good mid-game item for the Azir. Gives you everything you need. Some CDR, lots of mana, just really is the complete purchase. Jinx going back, she's pick up a BF sword. It's always great as Jinx, if you can win the lane to the extent that you can stay for a BF sword. We see a lot of Jinx have to pick up Boots 2 or something like that to kind of augment all their orb walking they have to do. But with that, the zap is going to be chunking out. And the turret pressure now really starts, because if Jinx gets any free time in minigun form on that turret, it's just going to melt through.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing to say, but Jinx, a lot of her lanes really do start getting going when she has a BF stock. We saw early on in the LPL at least, Jinx players were swapping into other lanes just to get enough money for the BF sword, and then swapping back and taking over lanes.
Yeah, exactly right. And you throw the fact that Janna's Eye of the Storm at level 5 already got 3 ranks in it, just is going to help that even further, going to get it to the point where it's nearly double BF sword on top of it and just chunking through.
Yeah, and Zangal trying to fight back, actually has a Shane plus a longsword, so moving into that phase second after that component, and of course the Trinity Force will be Kog'Maw's first item, but going to struggle in these trades, I think quite a bit actually, especially while Nami's getting her levels up as well.
Yeah, exactly right. So as long as they get a 2 auto attack trade, it's in Kog'Maw's favor with the Tidecaller's Blessing. As soon as it goes anywhere over that, or the zap hits coming through from Jin Jiao, give it straight away to the Jinx. Just extended trades is what this lane's all about.
Yeah, good ward clear there as well by ADG, as Sejuani will start the Dragon, but a nice ward from Drizzle. Went for an early Sightstone actually before finishing his machete. Has been slightly behind the Sejuani, who's got a Cinderhawk enchantment finished already, but early Dragon attempted, but immediately denied.
Yeah, but Vision's what the name of the game's all about. Dodging the first Sejuani ult through Vision of Nunu is going to be worth more than a completed Cinderhawk every day of the week. It just allows them to be able to keep tabs on what now is a very dangerous jungler in Sejuani.
Yeah, Sedge looking good. Level 6 now as well for both of the junglers. So maybe look for Xu Xiaoyin to get into some of the lanes and start aggressively ganking. Bottom lane looks pretty nice, especially with the Jinx Janna ready to go. So we'll see where they do want to move in. Xu, they're going to put the ward back in there, and Drizzle again with the Sightstone. Aggressive Vision's exactly what he wants.
Yeah, and he's trying to get in here behind. Wow.
Yeah, Bamey getting caught in transition though, but Xu Xiaoyin's here as well. Embers of Eye going to push him back. Teleport, they're going to come in for both, but Ray came in first. Bamey going to get first blood, maybe no, the snowball, not enough yet. Moves around for the Q, but Nunu gets first blood. Amazing J's joined in as well. Nas forced to hop over the wall. Sejuani far too low as Shine is forced to come into the mid lane. Jinx is here as well. But Ray running out there. Amazing J gets another kill for himself, and that Hecarim teleport was amazing.
And that's with ADG rotating first pastry time from the bottom lane. Just weren't able to get there and impact. It was lucky to not be a 3-for-0 for Energy Pacemaker, and showing that they can team fight pretty well in the early game. We already knew that. I don't actually know why ADG, after going so well in their bottom lane, would pick a fight like that.
I mean, Bamey just shouldn't have been walking there. Nunu's been aggressively moving in for Vision the entire time and just got caught in transition, which started that whole sequence that resulted in 2 kills for EP. They'll get the Dragon out of it as well, so collecting everything for their early game.
Yeah, so getting a very good lead, 1,000 gold just through the kills. They pick up a Dragon. Now a lot of pressure with a 20 CS lead in mid lane. And where they were building pressure in that bottom lane, completely relieved. Zhang Ao, he's going to be able to push out. He's going to get a free back, probably come back with 2 components of his Trinity Force. And that's just not great. They've given Cog, at his weakest part of the game, a free couple of minute window.
Yeah, and Cog really does get going with the Trinity Force moving through. I think Sheen Fate, in a lot of instances, is such a strong 2-item spike in a way for a lot of Kog'Maw. So he's going to return to the bottom lane. Berserker Greaves has been completed for Jin Jiao, but right now I think we'll have to give Cog back the advantage in the lane.
Yeah, you certainly do, especially because he was able to grab a couple of CS that put him back right into the lane. Only 10 down now, and we'll be able to pick majority of that up. In the top lane, we see early home guard boots coming through from Hecarim. The reason I like that is because Nari is going for that crazy Frozen Mallet build, which I just completely disagree with still. I understand the principle behind it, but I just don't think it translates into the mid-game power spike people do. It's a good laning item in the fact that it slows Hecarim down, keeps you in harass range in mini-Gnar form. But when it gets to the team fight, you just don't do enough. Hecarim, on the other hand, recognizes his lane now a little bit weaker, so he picks up the Moby Boots so he can recall whenever he wants, just recklessly shove out. And then in team fights, that teleport gank now becomes all important.
Yeah, and almost not even getting the Cinderhawk finished quite yet. Does have most of the components, so Skirmisher's Saber the likely pick up there to combining with the Cinderhawk enchantment. But ADG, bottom lane roaming a bit, haven't quite pushed out a turret, but trying to get some pressure down into mid.
Yeah, so they've rotated around, and once again, this is just confusing because they're giving Kog'Maw free time. Wow, good ult.
Good ulti there coming through. Raphael just going to dodge the knockup. Ulti there as well, but ultimate from Jinx will clean it out, and that was worth it as Shu flashes in for the bubble. Shu Xiaoyin in trouble, but Baimi will move them back. No tower, but they do get the kill.
So they get the kill. They're not going to be able to push in for the turret. And that was still a lot expended. They used 2-3 ultimates to get it. They might even nearly lose the turret in the bottom lane. ADG Pacemaker, they got out-rotated there, but not really much going to come of it.
Good dodge of the zap, though, as well. Sejuani can't close the gap. Even the Zephyr landing there for Shine doesn't open up enough space for Sedge for the Arctic Assault. So Jinx Janna will return to the bottom side, continue farming away, but Zhang got away with a lot of free farm and turret damage there.
Yeah, and, you know, they picked up the kill. They equalized mid lane. That's a very good move, but in the end, not really much coming through apart from the kill, which at that point in the game, they should have just, if that was the case, commit with the Jinx. Push the Nunu off the lane. Nunu Nami, absolutely no wave clear. I would have liked to see them commit and go for the turret trade. Mid for bottom, that definitely would have been in their favor.
And Drizzle now down in the bottom half as well. Good scrying orb. But Jinx will spot him off in the bush, so he'll have to run away now as well. Great instincts there from ADG. I think they've recognized their bottom lane has been picked on a little bit here in the early stages of the game, and they're both farming well. In fact, we look across the board, CS quite even for everyone, although there's a slight disadvantage for mid and top lane there for ADG. But other than that, it's been a pretty quiet 14 minutes or so. An EP with an early advantage, but a slim lead of only 400 gold.
Yeah, so 400 gold is the difference now. Energy Pacemaker, they do have the Dragon, which we really haven't been able to put a gold value on with especially AD carries like Kog'Maw that go for not really attack damage stats, more that Trinity Force that gives you the augmentation of your kit. Really is difficult to say the first Dragon is worth 600 gold.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It obviously gets more valuable, and the other dragons are worth gold as well, but we'll see. EP at least have the first one. They'll be happy to maybe start snowballing that objective, but Shine put down a pink word there, and apparently, yeah, can't see that word.
Just out of range, and that's the one that he was trying to pick up, so that's disappointing coming through there, but they'll be able to, once again, re-push out. Trinity Force is the purchase, though, for Zhang Ao in that bottom lane. That's very good click. 1430, he was able to pick that one up.
Yeah, great timing there. You usually look at it for 16 minutes as a good part time, so about a minute ahead there of that one is, again, that poor board. It's just so sad.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we see now, once again, 3 members for ADG in this bottom lane. Sedge looking to use her ultimate in coupling up with Jinx once again. Probably has the most kill potential on the map, so definitely good to continue to camp out this lane, but with the Trinity Force, expect trades to start going in EP's way. Yeah,
it's time for Kog'Maw to really start getting ahead in these lanes, maybe even rotate if they're able to get the turret in the bottom side of the map. We look across the rest of the Rift, though. Athene's Unholy Grail completed for both mid laners, so starting to get going with their builds as well. Sightstones are plenty for the junglers, who have also met Cinderhawks, and Ray still looking for his next item. Ninja Turbo has been completed, and Skirmisher's Saber plus the Cinderhawk done for Amazing J.
Yeah, so able to get in there. We see actually ADG able to pick up the first Scuttle Crab.
No, that was a steal by Drizzle, actually. Managed to smite it away. Wow. Yeah, slight misbite by Shu Xiaoyin, and Nunu just walks away with it.
Yeah, so Nunu able to get in there and fix that one for himself. Nunu, of course, very good at securing objectives. They actually sent Shine back. They staggered their backs in the bottom lane. Now that they're sending Jin Jiao back, I think the turret will fall because there's not really much wave clear to be offered. They must know that he's backed out there. Has been able to pick up Zerka Greaves and Infinity Edge. So once again, AD carries particularly operating at a very good CS rate this game.
Yeah, they're both farming well, 150 CS or more at about 16 minutes in this game. Is very nice stuff. Shu Xiaoyin pulling the wave off there as well. We'll get a couple of the last hits here, but mostly just saving them for Jinx. And we've had the bottom lane back away once again from EP. No major items just yet. But again, lots of jungle pressure thrown down here, and it's mostly just been farming in the bottom half.
Wow, the AD carry dream. The jungler willing to hold the wave for a good 15 seconds. That was me, pastry time. I'm smacking W, taking the wave, and then getting back into my jungle.
Well, ADG going to start pushing the turret now. It's all Jin Jiao. happily collects the CS from his generous jungler, and this tower is dead.
Yeah, but they're gone for the teleport gank.
Oh, nice stuff from Amazing J. Who's he want? He's going to look for Jin Zhao. The shield does come down. Tidal Wave as well will force the flash, but there's a Hecarim multi following through. Great disengage here, but a double bubble coming through for Shu. Raphael's down here as well. Zhang gets the kill, and Sejuani just can't disengage, all disengage. In fact, Shine going to get dived. Amazing J collects the kill.
And Ray, you are so late on that teleport. It might have been because he didn't have the Mega Knight form, but that's going to be another dragon going across for Energy Pacemaker. They'll also be able to leave Zhang out there for the bottom turret. And that's just better map awareness coming through from EP.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about ADG being a strong laning team, but their early rotations have been quite poor in the early stages of this game. Kog'Maw gets the bottom turret as well. A second dragon goes over to Energy Pacemaker. And all of a sudden, Drizzle going to push some of that vision forward with his Sidestone wards. And they're going to look to rotate this Kog'Maw into other lanes and start taking some additional turrets.
Yeah, they're just going to look out to shove the last lane. I wouldn't be surprised if Drizzle sticks around in the proximity for a little bit of coverage, because they need to make sure the deep freeze doesn't come through from Jinx. She's going to actually counter push as well, so that's good news for Energy Pacemaker. But you're right. Right now, it's all about getting probably into the top lane. You don't want to try and siege up against a Xerath, but nah, he's not going to have much utility here in clearing out the waves.
No, and we see Azir actually returning to that mid lane. I imagine those towers are quite healthy in the mid side, but a needlessly large rod up for Raphael. We saw Shia yesterday from World Elite on his Azir, building Stinger second on a lot of his builds, and then just kind of moving into whatever needlessly large rod Adam he wanted, usually a death cap. Raphael going to skip that though and going straight for the late game.
Yeah, and that's kind of weird. Maybe in trusting in the Blood Boil coming through from Drizzle when he needs it, and just hoping he can get some surprising burst damage through. But Stinger has been the regular pickup coming through here for the mid Azirs, and it just, once again, it doesn't give you any like noticeable stats. You don't get that big AP value, but it just augments the kit from Azir so well.
Yeah, it just smooths it out. I mean, I think just feels better to play when you have that Stinger going after your Chalice. So Raphael, though, going to stick with power for now as Drizzle, very tanky so far in the new unit, looking for an Aegis. And we've seen this so much from junglers here. It's always a Cinderhawk and then immediately into the Aegis second item.
Yeah, exactly right. Some of them were even circumventing going for the Sidestone in the favor of just picking that one up straight away. It's a very good snowball item, as Papa Smithy loves to point out. It just gives your team so much work. As a jungler, it's very hard for you to solo carry. It's all about getting your team ahead.
Yep, and Drizzle gets his team further ahead by sniping the blue buff away from ADG, so Bamey will lose the blue buff, a crucial piece of Xerath's kit here as we move towards the mid-game especially. And that turret defense might not be nearly as easy without an almost infinite supply of mana.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. That's why they've rotated it across, because they're confident now without the blue buff, Xerath not going to be able to anti-siege that one. As we see in the top lane, actually, Amazing J's turret, it's losing a lot of health.
Yeah, mid-turret there for EP, also looking quite unhealthy, so EP might want to rotate around, protect some of these turrets. Ray continuing to push in with his frozen mallet now, so bullying Amazing J off the lane. Blue buff still being attempted here by ADG, but they have to be a bit careful. Amazing J's come around. He's level 13 with 2 parts of his Trinity Force. He's a very scary Hecarim in the blue. Will get taken. I believe Amazing J got that.
Yeah, he certainly did. And this is the thing about the Smite top lane, is they're always higher level. Wow.
Yeah, bubble there lands on to shoot Xiao Yin, but isn't quite going to take it. Shine put a shield onto him. Scuttle Crab going to go down there as well. And lots of movement here looking for some rotations. And EP have done it wonderfully. Mid-tower now with 4 EP members on top of it.
Yeah, and that was just a great zone coming out of Amazing J and Drizzle, teaming up as the Hecarim. They've now got the inside lane on the bottom lane as well. They're all heading there as 5. What a good, impressive movement.
Yeah, Jinx running down there with the Zeal ready to go, so he has good wave clear in rocket form especially, but the rotations have come very quickly here. Amazing J already down here running through. And again, ADG here to defend, but raising the top side with his teleport, building up rage. EP might just get themselves another turret.
Yeah, Energy Pacemaker. Wow, they were committed.
Ulti lands in. Amazing J goes down to Bamey as he gets sniped away. And EP have to back off the turret. A good Sejuani ult, but thankfully for EP, it's only the 1 member down.
And that's absolutely bonkers. You have Kog'Maw, you have Azir. You don't need to commit that hard with your melees of taking down the turret. Instead, Hecarim stands in turret range the entirety and gets chain CC'd through from, as we have a bit of a fight.
They're sure going to get caught as well. Raised, Frozen Mallet helping out nicely for at least the chase. Good 3-man Nara ulti. He wallops him in as well. Drizzle forced to use the absolute zero. Bubble catches Jinjiao, takes a massive amount of damage, and Raphael comes in to clean him up as Drizzle will get the kill. Ray chasing in there trying to get Shu, but Azir going to claim that one instead, and a good 2-0 turnaround.
Yeah, so in the end they turn it around. They trade a turret there because Azir wasn't able to go defend against Baimi, but that was a very interesting move coming out from Jinjiao, deciding to stand in the absolute zero.
Yeah, great bubble. I mean, tried to kite out of it, but got nailed by a Nami bubble, and unfortunately after that, the channel completed, and there was just too much damage done already.
Yeah, but my problem with that is it's a Nami bubble, and you have Flash still available, and yet you die. Probably cost his team the team fight there by just not being able to react. Definitely a good bubble, but that summoner spell probably could have saved him.
Yeah, Amazing Jay now going to move back in. Almost has his Trinity Force completed, so pretty strong stuff coming through. We look at Ray in the top side as well. Randuin's Omen on the way. Again, delayed in the tankiness because of the Frozen Mallet pickup ever so slightly, and he'll be good once the Randuin's comes through, but if he can't keep pace with the carries that are getting stronger on EP, like you said before, Frozen Mallet going to look a little silly.
Yeah, and the problem is yeah, cool, Randuin's fantastic against the Hecarim, great against the Kog'Maw because it lowers his attack speed, but there's an Azir that has a death cap already, just going to be doing work as Raphael in the mid lane, and the similar power spike has been hit on the other side of the map, but you see there's already a locket picked up nearly coming out of Drizzle, just going to be in a position to give him his team so much more.
Yeah, as we see ADG, defensive pink wall going to clear out the green ward there on the ridge. Going to set up maybe for a killer into Zhang Ao, but the crits are coming through. Teleport actually forced up by Amazing J. Might want to turn it around. Great chompers, though. Stop Amazing J in his tracks, but Dragon back up in 15 EP, looking for their third.
Yeah, so they're going to be able to get vision over the area apart from the Scuttle Crab, which is about halfway through timing out. So that will be available when this Dragon is started up. They're trying to shove out the lanes. ADG, they elect to shove mid lane. Raphael, he's shoving out bottom, and we'll see who can make a better move here.
Yeah, bit of a race coming through. Actually, EP on top of the Dragon as well, although ADG will force them off, pushing the waves in, but Raphael working on this top turret should be able to get it down and does. Another Dragon's been started by ADG. It's 4v5 right now, but it's going to be 5v5 again real soon.
Yeah, it certainly is. Raphael's here. It's now a 5v5. If you're ADG, I actually think you have to back away. Give this one up. Probably not worth fighting over a third Dragon.
They're going to try. Ray's trying to build up a bit more rage. Shouldn't take too much longer here in combat. The Dragon also going to get aggressive on. They don't know if they can really outsmite two smites, though, and Azir actually going to pick it up, and they'll start the fight. Ray goes in massive. Huge wombo in there with the Xerath ulti. And Amazing J in the back's getting kited off. Jinjiao trying to run away. A good flash there, but he goes straight into Raphael, unfortunately, and goes down. Azir going to get chased away, knocked up by the Sejuani. And it's 4-for-1 with Amazing J still getting chased.
Yeah, and underestimating the team fight coming out of ADG with both myself and Energy Pacemaker. They're going to get aced here, and what a team fight.
Yeah, Frozen Mallet, good for chasing here. Ray picks up the last kill on the Mini-Gnar, and now they're going to keep pushing. No Jinx, unfortunately, a crucial piece missing in this push.
Yeah, it certainly is, but they'll still be able to get some damage done to this mid turret, probably be able to take it down, so they grab an objective back, and they take a 2,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and that was a great fight. Let's see it again.
Yeah, so it's all about the Gnar positioning. Nami not able to get anything off. No counter engage coming through because they get absolutely nailed here by everything. You see the Wombo, it was a Gnar ult, the Xerath, as well as the Jinx firing in there. They do pick up Jinjiao on the back line, but the damage was already done. Pastry time, they needed to position that one a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Jinx, just couldn't peel the Hecarim. They started the fight really well, but this is the problem with Hecarim, especially at this stage with the Skirmisher Saber and the Trinity Force. Practically impossible to peel for your AD carry, and apart from Shine's ultimate, ADG didn't try. They just killed EP instead. Yeah,
exactly right. So in the end, there was no disengaged Azir ultimate coming through to keep Gnar out. There was no tidal wave that really knocked him up and allowed Kog'Maw to reposition. So Zhang Ao not getting the support he needed in that team fight, and they were made to pay for it.
Yeah, both AD carries actually sort of being left out to dry there. So we'll see if the teams do adapt in the next few team fights, but people are really powering up now. Phantom Dancer is done for the Jinx, so looking for a very hard carry build coming through. Locket done for Sejuani as well. Randuin's are now an additional giant spell up for Ray as well. And even the Void stuff there for Baimi for maximum AP carry damage.
Yeah, so Baimi is now ahead, you would have to think. He's got the 4-1-1 scoreline. He's in a position to hard carry this game from the mid lane. You already saw how much damage his ultimate did. Probably the only danger to him this time is the fact that Hecarim will start diving the Xerath. Prioritization over the Jinx, I think, needs to be there. Just because Kog'Maw, he'll probably shred the front line quicker than what Jinx will at this point in the game. However, that Xerath, if he's ever able to set up and take out Zhang Ao again, team fight over.
Yeah, and he was the big threat, really, after Ray's ultimate set him up nicely, as Baron's now being considered by both teams here as well. Getting some decent vision around it. Have to be careful. Good Baron damage on both sides, in fact, with all these hyper carries coming through. And we look at the gold lead. ADG, a slight one here at about 1,300 gold ahead, but it's not that big a lead here in this game, as we expected with the two late-game team comps. Very tense.
Yeah, it's just on a knife's edge. Each team trying to get advantages when they can, but they don't want to ever opt into a team fight that they don't think they can win because of exactly what you were talking about. Both are late game team comps. Both are going to have confidence in their execution. So it's all about just getting there at a fairly good pace.
And right now you can see both teams without a major objective to play around. Dragon in particular being down after their last team fight, just sort of playing it safe, pushing out the waves with their long-range spells. I'm going to go spend a bit more gold here, but that's going to give CS and especially experience over to the carries on both sides, as well as Raphael, almost level 16 now on the Azir.
Yeah, so he's able to get that through there. Nearly has the final part of his, nearly has the third rank of his ultimate, coming through there at level 16. Has picked up the Merc Treads. This is something that I really like. I think the more we see this patch, the more Merc Treads become a priority. Sejuani ultimate, eating a stun coming through from Xerath. They're just all so important to be able to get out of quickly to reposition yourself. I'm expecting a lot more mid laners to pick up the cleanse and a lot of Merc Treads to be prioritized.
We even have Merc Treads on the jungler for ADG as well, so quite a number of those boots in this game in particular. Nice to see the players adapting to 5.6, and certainly teams are discovering exactly what you can and can't do on this patch, but as we've seen, it's very wide open. So while this game in particular might have a lot of standard picks in it, who knows what will happen in the rest of this best of 5.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and we'll see exactly how it works out. Top wave, bottom wave actually is pushing very heavily for ADG. It's actually nearly at their inhibitor turret. So now Baron control will be ceded over to Energy Pacemaker. Can they make a move on it? Because currently Azir, Kog'Maw, they probably do the most Baron damage in the game.
Yeah, Nunu helping out there as well. Fought Blood Boil on either of those carries. And Ray down the bottom side does have his teleport, continuing to aggressively get farm. He's actually got 262 now as a top laner. So he's been farming sideways pretty much constantly here in this game, basically matching the mid laner CS, who've been doing a very similar thing. Again, it's a tense standoff, but Azir continuing to poke vision out from under the Baron. And ADG, one of the things that comp doesn't do that well is if they can't find the perfect engage, it's very tricky for them to get a pick.
Yeah, it certainly is. They can't really set up for them. They've got the poke champions, not the pick, so they need to be in a siege situation as maybe no.
Sejuani just fine. 3,000 health or so in the health pool there as well, without a major giant spell item yet for the Sejuani. So looking strong there at ADG's jungler, and just Arctic Assault out from under the bubble.
Yeah, so able to get out there. Once again, they're setting up around Baron. It doesn't look like either team wants to commit. I expect that ward line to be taken over to Dragon in about 30 seconds because that one is up. So we'll see who jockeys for position better.
Yeah, I mean, the wards in general, very messy across the map. I think a lot of them have dropped away. We've had a really tense standoff between both teams around the different objectives. Baron for the last few minutes, and soon to be Dragon as well, as it would be EP's 4th, and that would threaten the 5th Dragon for the rest of this game. Jinx really needs her last whisper though, and Jinjal's still farming for it, but he's unfortunately been relegated to wave clear duty as Ray just standing in the middle of everyone there trying to get a team fight going, but we'll slow some people down, but can't really, again, just no hard engage here for ADG.
Yeah, this is a mistake from ADG. It's only their first Dragon, and they're going to lose a lot in the top lane. Already a turret goes down. Unless they're willing to burn teleport, Amazing J's going to get some damage done here.
I think they're going to have to burn the teleport as well. He's on top of the turret. Trinity Force Hecarim going to rip through the structure, even reasonably tanky now as well. And Ray actually just popped back. No home guards anywhere right now for ADG, and Hecarim going to get a good chunk of damage done to that turret, but he takes it.
What a bad mood. Will teleport out, be completely fine. That is a nightmare coming through from ADG. Unless they manage to sneak a Baron somehow, which they're not going to be able to do. They just lost their base pretty much, so open at any point for a Dragon.
And very confused as to why Ray didn't want to trade the teleport, but maybe thought he could make it back in time. Warmog's done for now as well, so the front line for ADG pretty well prepared for a lot of these fights, but Jinx still needs some items. Bamey strong, but getting stronger, I guess that's fine as well. But again, they have to fight around objectives. We saw they won a big fight around the Dragon, but when they just recklessly get out-rotated like that, they have the less stuff they have to defend, the harder it is for them to find favorable team fights.
Yeah, and the problem is now is that Hecarim can just sit top lane whilst Dragons 4 and 5 are there, and you can never go there unless you have the teleport available. You're just going to have to match Hecarim around the map, and he's the team fight key here for the team. We saw the team fight they won. It was all on the back of Ray being able to combo across with Bamey, so just doesn't go to their win conditions to give away an objective like that.
I mean, smart stuff for EP to at least run ADG around the map. They've been consistently out-rotating them in the mid-game here as well. 6-4 currently in turrets, and a lot of that's from just fantastic movement here from EP and Amazing J in particular. And Hecarim, even without the teleport, going to continue to be annoying. And, you know, Ray can maybe stand up to Hecarim, probably not going to die, but unfortunately it's not where his team needs him. He needs to be grouped together.
Yeah, exactly right. And with the build Ray's gone with, he's not going to be able to really bully him away unless the hyper procs come through and he gets multiple auto attacks on. So Hecarim might just be able to walk past him, get a couple of autos onto that inhibitor and continue to whittle it down. As we see, they're looking for a pick onto Shu. But as you said, if this team doesn't do anything, it doesn't do well in picks. It does fantastic in pokes. Of course, if you face check them, they do have the CC, but it's really, they don't want to use any of their ultimates to get a pick.
Yeah, certainly open areas are not the best spots here. As a good Tornado, disengage is Amazing J, and EP, that is their difference. They have good engage options just from Amazing J's Hecarim on its own, although Ray looking aggressively for a team fight, but Raphael will dash his way out.
Yeah, and there was a Sun Turret there, so he didn't want to go too deep, of course. Able to do some damage there at the Sun Turrets, and just to clarify, you might think this team, it has heaps of CC. What are you talking about? They have fantastic pick. You don't want to commit a Sejuani ult or a Gnar ultimate to a pick unless it is on both the Azir and the Kog'Maw, because otherwise there's still a real potential that this team can win a team fight if you blow one of those major cooldowns. So instead, what they're looking to do, control vision just like this.
Yeah, it is wonderful. Sidewave control gets him a fight. Amazing J going to get chunked out. Drizzle will channel his ulti, but that's a great pick there for ADG. Now the poke going to follow in as well, and Ray is still so healthy. Just going to bounce in a mini enough from Jinx ultimate coming through as well, still continuing to chase with the slows from the boomerang. Shusha going in aggressive, gets Mikhail's though, and Bamey snipes the Kog'Maw. Ray going to move in as well. A reset there for Jana. Shu goes down as well. Jinx gets excited. Ray gets a slow, and that's a 3-0 win for ADG.
And they're going to grab the Baron off it. That's exactly what we were talking about. Don't look for the pick. Make them come for you, and a huge team fight going the way of ADG. Just good vision control. Able to get through there, and they'll pick up the Baron. With a Jinx late game, 2-3-7 going to go back and pick up the last Whisper, not to mention the fact that there's a Xerath on the team who's extremely fed. They're going to siege up so nicely.
Yeah, Jinx winning that fight without her last Whisper was crucial there. And Hecarim, he's great at engaging, but if he gets caught, he's the first pick to go. Energy Pacemaker run out of offensive options.
And the thing about Hecarim, he's not a pure tank, he's a bruiser. So he needs to go in there with someone else. He needs to be up in the front line with Nunu, or he needs another threat in there. Raphael needs to be diving the back line with him and looking for that ultimate. Instead, goes in by himself and just gets shredded through.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of damage for ADG, so good defensive posture. They're able to protect their AD carry and their Xerath, who positioning was fantastic as well. Azoni's going to make that even easier, and Jinzhao all of a sudden real scary on the Jinx with the 3.5 items ready to go. Yeah,
so he's got all the items necessary. Nice move in the top lane from Amazing J, actually. He's trying to keep them occupied with that top wave. They're always going to have to send someone up there and answer it, so they're not really able to siege as of yet. Their wave positioning not great. Teleport coming through.
Yeah, Amazing J going to look for a flank, but Jana going to try and disengage. He's going in aggressive. Finds Jinzhao, is forced to flash, but too much damage from Amazing J. Gets the kill. Now Shine going to get picked off as well by a bubble, and EP answer back with 2 free kills.
And they just run top lane. It is completely open. They don't actually have to tank anything up here. They decide against it. Once again, bonkers gameplay coming out of here from Energy Pacemaker, because they had the inside lane there on the map. Instead, they're not going to be able to take much. They're up in 20 seconds. We'll maybe get another way into the base, although minion wave not there.
They're getting poked out, waiting for their wave, and as soon as ADG join in, the Baron buff going to make it tricky. They do get the tier 2 turret, but could have maybe just got the inhib instead.
Yeah, I can't believe they just didn't rotate through and get the inhib. They get 2 picks, so they completely nullify Baron. Game back on an even footing. We'll have to get back to base and maybe try and contest for this dragon. It's number 4 for them, which is extremely important, but that was all on Amazing J. Drew 2 people top lane with a fantastic push, backed away, got the teleport in on the 2 members, and Jinx at this point, even though she's extremely fed, as soon as that challenging smite goes through, there is no hope she beats him.
Yeah, and Ray chasing down as well, looking for a slow. We'll get the first auto attack, and the Frozen Mallet will get to work. Can't really chase it down. It'll take a long chase down the lane for Ray to actually kill the Heck Room, and now we'll back away instead.
Yeah, so now this time Ray has the teleport advantage, still has the Baron buff, I believe, so we'll be able to push in nicely, and it doesn't look like Energy Pacemaker want to contest for this Dragon, so 5th Dragon maybe now no longer a thing. If this game goes until the 50-minute mark, you would think that there would already be someone in a clear advantage.
Yeah, and it's honestly been a battle of sideways for the last 15 minutes or so. ADG forced that fight around Baron that got them the objective by having a massive wave down the bottom. I believe Ray had been prepping. He's now on the top side with his teleport, and ADG are 4 members strong in the bottom side. This is more of what we... good thing to see from them, because this is strong rotational play in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, and there was 3 cannons in there. 2 have been taken out, but there's still 1 available. They're not going to be able to clear out this wave. Maybe they will. Jinx not really in a position to be able to take it out, and Baron buff ran out at a very fortuitous time. It's
pretty safe for Jinx to actually get the rockets in there, so somewhat surprised that ADG didn't want to get a bit more aggressive onto that tower, but again, fearing a potential dive here from Heck Room in particular, Ray instead going to clear some more waves out. And this Nah, he has been farming for a long time.
Certainly has 335 CS at the 37-minute mark. Not used to seeing that on a top laner, but we did say they play around Ray, they play around Baimi. They expect those 2 people to be the big carries for the team. This game, Jun Jiao, he's stepping up. He's got a very reasonable scoreline on the Jinx, is in a good position to be able to carry this game, but won't be able to do it solo, is not to that point. They do need the supporting cast, and Ray, he's looking for a flank.
Yeah, he's going in, but that's it. Spotted actually was not quite on top of a ward, just a nice rotation from EP. We'll throw a couple of autos in. Actually, was on top of a ward, excuse me. But that's going to free up some space here, and the tower goes down.
They get the transform out of Ray, so I'm surprised they didn't pull the trigger right there. Might have been able to go in instead, just back away, give up 1 turret. Still only 2,000 gold, and in a late game composition, that's nothing pastry time.
Yeah, and we look over at the carries on EP here as well. Defensive items now completed for both Azir and Kog'Maw, sorry. A QSS done for the Cog, and a Zon is completed in the mid lane there for Azir. ADG's massive CC that was so effectual in the last little fight, significantly less good now.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we see they're starting to set it up once again around the Baron. They want to get vision control. It's about 2.5 minutes away. So getting in position for that one, it's only 9 to 10. The game feels a little bit more action-packed than that, because we've seen some nice movements around the map to, I guess, set the teams up for success. They're just very hesitant to pull the trigger.
Well, for 2 teams that were noted for strong early games and laning phases, we actually had a very subdued laning phase after the first few kills. And as a result, all that action's has been multiple team fights that have gone back and forth throughout the entire game.
Yeah, it certainly has. And Ray, we said that maybe the Frozen Melon, not the best first item pickup. Now that he's got 4 items, 5 items actually, nearly going into probably a GA as the last item, he's in complete carry mode, going to be able to take this game over if he gets a good team fight, because honestly, even though Kog'Maw fantastic against takes, still going to take a fair while to shred him.
Yeah, I mean, just a massive health pool, honestly. It takes a lot of % health magic damage to get through all of the tank items that Ray has. If we do a quick check, actually, Warmog's, Spirit Visage, Frozen Mel, and Oranduin's Omen. And when I see him next, he'll have something like 4, maybe even 5,000 health.
Yeah, he certainly will. He is absolutely massive at this point. Not to mention how tanky Sejuani is, who's also around that 4,000 health mark. So 2 huge tanks, although Sejuani, without the resists that Ray has, still taking a fair amount of damage.
Yeah, just a Chain Vest there, plus a Locket in the Oranduin's. Maybe needs a bit more ML, possibly a Spirit Visage of her own, but maybe even, I don't know, the Chain Vest could be anything. Maybe just a Thorn Mail for some extra dive potential. But there's Ray. That is so much health.
Yeah, it certainly is. Thorn Mail, maybe a GA. Late games GAs are a very good item just because they give you a reset button to play around. So we'll see exactly what they do want to go for here, as we see.
Probably
Raphael.
Frozen Heart, now they think about it, because they don't have one yet, which is actually kind of a big deal.
Yeah, that is a huge deal. Like the pickup there that you came through with. Frozen Heart would be very good.
Makes sense on Sedge. Good against Azir, good against Kog'Maw.
Doesn't build it. I don't think it builds out of a Chain Vest anymore.
It does not. That's very sad. Who's going to build the Frozen Heart now, Spawn?
Maybe the support. Come on, Sean.
Take a lot of gold for Giant to pick up that item. As just vision battles coming through now. Azir excellent at clearing vision safely out, and ADG have monopolized the control around the Baron area. So Sejuani playing forward again. Big health pool, but not that tanky, especially with all the damage that's currently coming through from the Energy Pacemaker carries. But ADG doing well. Baimi is threatening with such a strong zone of control that Ray down the bottom, who's again just been pushing waves all game long, just been completely unhindered in his adventures.
Yeah, he certainly has been. But the scary thing is that slowly but surely, Amazing J has built up a very full item pool. They've started up Baron. he hasn't got home guards. He's not going to be able to get that big teleport.
No, Scrying Orb coming through, and Ray going to try and zone them away. ADG, can they finish the Baron? No, they're forced to disengage. The Amazing J dives into Jinjiao in the bottom, in the back, and he takes so much damage. Still alive still for now, but Baimi even uses the heal and can't save him. Ray, though, massive ulti into the backline, and Shine pushes him back away, but Azir already getting the double kill. Ray now going to get chased, and it'll take a while for him to die. He got Mikhail's in there as well as he gets a 3-man wallop, but swaps into Mini-Nar form, almost gets sniped by the Kog'Maw, and Baimi trying to do the damage here. Ray still getting chased, but EP, they've gotten the 2 kills they need. They'll get onto the Baron.
Yeah, so they're onto the Baron. They're just trying to stop Ray's back. He's in the base because they don't want him to be able to teleport back in. If he gets that teleport, teamfight will go to ADG.
He's going to have to run back onto the Nami. He's really deep in enemy territory. Baron does go down to EP. Can ADG buy time for the backs? Nara is somehow still alive. Actually survives the chase through the enemy Nexus almost. Will somehow get away, but unfortunately Jinx died immediately, and that was ADG's team fight gone.
Yeah, you see the health regen, so there's no point shoot. Actually, they got the teleport through.
Oh, he actually used a big cancels it. Realized that Nami can actually cancel it away. Amazing J now coming through for the flank, and Ray going to get chunked down. There will be enough damage here as Azir joins through, and Ray finally dies.
Yeah, and that was crazy. Why would you teleport directly in front of a Nami who has 2 ways to stop it? A little bit of a judgment lap coming through from Ray. Maybe a little bit of that emotional stress coming through in the form of tilt, but we'll actually see exactly what's going on here because all of a sudden, Amazing J, he's in a position to be able to take over the backline in this game. They'll grab another next inhibitor turret going down, probably be able to pick up double inhibitors.
It's a scarily large Nami, by the way. Actually, Elixir of Iron there on Shu. So that's hilarious. It's bigger than Kog'Maw's model. It's really scary. It's like as big as Hecarim.
I don't even know what you're talking about, mate. That's an nerf.
That is an nerf there. Very big manatee there on the Rift as EP. Get some inhibs, by the way. 2, in fact, there. 1 top, 1 mid, and then back themselves away. That last fight went really poorly for ADG. I thought they were set up so well to get a good team fight, but you saw what the Hecarim does to Jinx when you can't peel for it. Was stuck in the Baron pit, couldn't do anything, and a 4th Dragon even going to come through for EP.
Yeah, and I actually kind of disagree with EP grabbing that one. There was another 5 seconds on Ray, and look where the minion wave was. It was absolutely massive. With the Baron buff, they might have even been able to grab the last inhibitor, Nexus turret coming through there, but instead they make the safe play. They go back and spend all of that gold. You see, it's like a Mercurial Scimitar finish now on Kog'Maw. He's absolutely massive coming through there. Going to go for a 2nd defensive item as well, so just trusting in his natural scaling to get him going in the late game. And everyone else, they're pretty much finished.
Yeah, I mean, they've got actually pretty good damage threats. It's weird to see Kog'Maw in this sort of team comp. He's usually, the big focus, the big carry, or the sole carry of any sort of team, but the damage actually spread nicely across the top, mid, and bottom lane, so Zhangao, not pressured to go into any sort of super carry build like an Infinity Edge, just decides to play safe. As long as he's doing consistent damage, that's his job.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It's always that risk where if you're Kog'Maw, you go the 6 damage items, you're like set up for success, and then all of a sudden you get caught out, you get killed, and your team loses because of you. Instead, he's going for a very safe build, trying to get a little bit tankier because, of course, being able to consistently hit for less damage is better than just being wiped off the face of the map.
Yeah, Ray, again with the 5,000 health, has a Hex Drinker now as well, so a bit more offensive power and some resists. As again, just going to move in. Ray very threatening, but he has to set up the best team fight for his team, and with the 3 carries, they're playing pretty far back. Amazing J, the only one happy to play forward with 5k health of his own. There are 2 super minion waves pushing in the top and mid as well. So for EP, this is only a matter of time.
Yeah, it certainly is. Amazing J takes half of his health in damage coming through from Baimi, so he's doing work. But it's just a... Yeah, it's already in there. They need to send someone back. Probably next wave, this will be over on Energy Pacemaker.
Yeah, Drizzle, massive amount of health as well, and a very big Yeti also with the Elixir of Iron. I believe a turret may be set up there by Raphael. No, not quite. Not going to force a little ARAM yet, but we're going to keep pushing in. It'll take EP a little bit of time, but all they have to do is wait for the minion waves, and this tower will eventually go down.
Yeah, it certainly will, and Jinx, she's kind of ducking back and forth between mid lane. They're just trying to keep that wave under control, trusting the top lane one to just crash against the turret for a little bit. So it will keep them out, but you feel they have to pull the trigger soon. Otherwise, it's just going to get to the point where they're being strangled in their base.
I think Baron buff might have worn off as well, so making the seat a little trickier for EP.
Teleport behind.
Oh, they actually are going in. Ray wants to look for the flank. Sejuani going in as well. Massive 4-man Nara ulti, and Baby goes on to Raphael. He does instantly as Zhangao's getting chased away, and ADG pulled the trigger, but Jin Zhao dies in the middle of the team fight. Sejuani trying to peel them off, but Zhangao still alive. Amazing J here as well at full health, and A great flank here, but it's 3 for 1 the trade. Sejuani going to be the 4th kill down as well. They threw everything in there, but Jinx again standing in the wrong spot.
I even think I saw a kitchen sink at some point fly past. Wow, that was absolutely everything you could have possibly used to win a team fight. But in the end, Jin Zhao just gets caught out of position one more time. The team fight and the game will go across to Energy Pacemaker, but ADG, they went out in style, tried something new.
Yeah, just the first game of the best of 5. Don't forget, plenty more to play for here as a very close game 1. Just goes over to Energy Pacemaker, but Ray, that play was ridiculous there from the top lane. You can see the synergy between the Korean solo laners, Ray and Baimi, on point, and it's honestly their sub-AD carry player new to the roster here for this event that needs to just clean things up ever so slightly.
Yeah, for me, it was a jungler in the AD that really didn't do much that game. Expected a little bit more from Sejuani, especially when Ray is serving you golden platter ultimates there. Needed to be in the middle of that one, but wasn't able to get it done in the end. But Energy Pacemaker playing a late game composition were very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, both teams, honestly, for, again, the early game snowball teams, had some very strong performances in the late stages.
Yeah, they certainly did, particularly coming through on that Heck Room. Amazing Jay. That man's a beast.
He's an absolute beast. We'll see if we can get the Heck Room again, because when we return after a quick break, it is game 2 between EP and ADG.